You're welcome back, and this is still Good Morning Nigeria. And to push our conversation on the presidential directive on CNG procurement, let's take this background report by Ibrahim and Hamidu.
In 1997, the federal government suggested using compressed natural gas as a fuel for vehicles to utilize natural gas resources better. However, there was a little progress until 27 years later when President Bola Tinubu's administration in 2024 revived efforts to implement this initiative. Compressed natural gas, or CNG, is a cleaner and more environmentally friendly alternative to traditional fossil fuels. It is an abundant resource in Nigeria, and its adoption is to reduce the country's reliance on imported fuels. CNG buses produce significantly fewer greenhouse gases and air pollutants, making them a more sustainable option for mass transportation. They are also cost-effective, with CNG being generally cheaper than traditional fuels. Additionally, CNG buses operate quietly, reducing noise pollution in urban areas. In response to the fuel subsidy removal and the need for a more sustainable transportation system, the Nigerian government has issued a presidential directive to procure CNG buses for mass transportation across the country. This initiative aims to reduce the impact of the fuel price hike on the public while promoting a cleaner and more environmentally friendly transportation sector. The adoption of CNG buses is to create new job opportunities in manufacturing, assembly, and maintenance. It will also stimulate economic growth by reducing transportation costs and promoting the use of local resources. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will discuss the presidential directive on CNG procurement and how fast the plan is rolling out, as Nigeria is taking a significant step towards a more sustainable and environmentally friendly future.
All right, thank you very much, Ibrahim and Hamidu, for that background report. And to get our conversation going this morning, we have seated in the studio Oluwemimo Joseph Oshanikmi, DG National Automotive Design and Development Council. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we have also been joined by Dr. Billy Gillis Harry, National President, Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good
morning, Nigeria.
I also have joining us in the studio a regular Dr. Umar Bindir, former Secretary to Adamawa State Government and former DG NOTAP. It's always a pleasure to have you in the studio.
It's a pleasure.
Well, let's begin the conversation. Let me begin with Mr. Oshanikmi. Can you help us lay the background here by giving us a little bit more clarity on what the President's directive is on CNG vehicles?
Okay, the President, we are all aware that when the President came in, one of the first decisions the administration took was removal of fuel subsidy. And then he made a promise of promoting CNG in Nigeria. And that led to the creation of a program. That led to the creation of a program known as Presidential Initiative, that is PCNGI. Okay. That is Presidential CNG, that is Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. And the initiatives have been on promoting the use or adaptation of compressed natural gas as a means of powering vehicles. Not only vehicles, can power a lot of things. CNG can power generator. It can even power, we can use it as source of energy. So promoting it is a very good thing for Nigeria, because it's not only going to reduce our dependence on importation of fuel, it's going to also lead to creation of employment, and then is going to revitalize the economy. So later on, last week or so, the presidential gave the directive, because the administration is promoting CNG, gave the directive to the MDAs that further procurement of vehicles to be CNG. So, and that's the background to what the president did. And we are aware that it may get to that, and now is here with us. We need to encourage the adoption of CNG. And Mr. President, thank you for him that is leading by example.
But what's the role of your agency in all of this?
Okay, the NADDC has the responsibility, the mandate to regulate and promote auto in Nigeria. That is automotive industry in Nigeria. And now, if that is the case, as the case may be, we have the authority to support whoever is producing this. And our members, we license a lot of companies that can produce or convert CNG. So what we have done is try to bring all the stakeholders together to let them understand what the government is trying to do, number one, and how can we respond to that, because it's like government is trying to challenge onto the automakers in Nigeria, and then we have to respond. What we are doing first is to make sure that we accredit all the workshop that want to convert already existing ICE, PMS ICE to CNG ICE. And again, to those assemblers, to also encourage them to start assembling CNG direct, because most of them before now, we produce or we assemble in Nigeria ICE, that's powered by a PMS or AGO. But now we are encouraging them, and everybody, most of the assembler in Nigeria, they are up to the task. Most of them have started assembling CNG vehicles. So that's the role we play. So we try to make sure that everybody, while doing the conversion, you follow the standard, because safety is number one when it comes to auto. And we have to make sure that everyone involved follow the standard, because there is always a standard for whatever you're doing, in not only in auto industry, everywhere, but specifically for CNG. So we work first of all with all the other stakeholder government agencies, many of them, and we came up with a standard which SON released over 50 standards on conversion, use, storage, of maintenance of CNG vehicles. So we've done a lot in that respect. So what we are doing now is to make sure that whoever is going to convert, whoever is going to manage that process, follow the laid down rules and make sure that everything is done according to the standard.
Okay, thank you, DG. Most experts say that it's a slow, steady, and gradual process,
Exactly.
to transform from fuel to CNG. We hear that our guest in the UK from Kent, we have Oluwasegun Olajuwon. He's the MD CEO, THLD Group. I can see your network is quite good now, so I'm going to stay with you now. Based on the presidential directive on CNG procurement when it was announced by the president, how did that resonate with you? What do you think? How do you think it's going to play out here in Nigeria? Because I know that in the UK already vehicles like that are being used. So how do you think implementation in Nigeria would be like?
Yeah, good morning, Nigerians. Yeah, we were quite pleased with the news with regards to the president. And we've been for about 4 or 5 years from the previous administration. So we believe the launching will be a very good, huge step towards gas utilization, which we have in abundance. We feel it's going to be a very good move. There's quite a lot of technicality that it involves after the whole ceremonial engagement. And we believe with the right partnership, which both NADDC and other agencies have been engaging on some with regards to standardization and all of that, we believe with care and mindful approach, we'll be able to achieve gas utilization in the approach whereby save installation, save utilization, save refueling, and we can successfully achieve from experience. So yeah, we're looking forward to how it unfolds, and we're quite positive that with the right people in the right positions, we'll be able to achieve a very good move to gas utilization and renewables.
The signals
yes,
from the UK there.
From the UK there. We will return to you to make your comments when your signal improves. But usually signals from the UK are usually very good.
Well, maybe it's momentary.
Or
and
the
it
weather,
will not
yes,
get better.
yes. Okay, let's return here to the studio where Dr. Umar Bindil, former secretary to the Adamawa State Government and former DG Nota. I know you're always very excited when there's something new that can project Nigeria on a trajectory of growth, and development. Let's have your views on this this directive by the federal government. When subsidy was removed, you were here, we discussed it, and now he even said we'll lessen the burden on Nigerians by introducing CNG vehicles. How is it going to be? What do you think?
Well, you see, the major policy drive of this administration, I think, rallies around the renewed hope agenda of the president. And to me, the renewed hope is not renewed hope for Dr. Binil or renewed hope for Jumai. It's renewed hope first for the bottom of the pyramid. You need to make sure that policies of this nature create jobs for people, so that it's gainful, they're working, they're making money. You cannot create jobs if people don't have skills. So again, it is about skill building, competences building, and above all, the policy is about wealth creation. So people must be able to not just be employed based on their skills, but they also have to get into the entrepreneurial bracket to make sure that they're making one or two things. So the policy is fantastic, right? As you heard the gentleman from the UK, comparatively, you can't compare Nigeria and the UK. Nigeria is not an industrialized country. The United Kingdom is an industrialized country. They make everything. And this just latches. Their major objective is environmental control. While ours, the bandwidth for the benefits and opportunities are bigger. So, first of all, compression is a technical issue. Therefore, it's technology. It means if we are going to compress, we must have people who are skilled in knowing what gas is, the safety, as the DG said, how to compress it. Compressing and making it portable it means cylinders of various sizes. Again, it's skills. How do you roll the flat steel? How do you weld it? How do you make sure that it's safe, and so on and so forth? So to me, it's a policy that people like the Director General of the Automotive Council and the private sector must take it with the Nigerians in view, right? And you cannot implement this to the best benefit of Nigerians if there is no partnership. If we take it as the oil and gas people thinking that it is about gas and therefore just work on gas, and the automotive people thinking it's about pushing the subsidy on fuel to now accommodate a cheaper fuel for the internal combustion engines to work very well, and it is an island. No. It is about breaking the barriers to make sure that the universities, the research institutions are interested in these policies. They're building capacity for reality. Young people who are graduating from university should see opportunities in this policy. The research institutions should see opportunities of producing technology, patented technology, for licensing by industry. So in broad sense, it's a fantastic policy. It will affect the poor because at least the KKs and the taxis will utilize a cheaper fuel. But beyond that, for institutional maturity, we must be able to link our know-how and knowledge to this policy so that we have institutions that are stable, so that Nigeria too can start mimicking the United Kingdom, an industrialized country. So instead of, say, for example, Innocent, focusing on Enugu, producing everything, assembling everything, is it possible for some chap in Yobe to now start manufacturing just the pistons for the Keke Napep? So his casting, his machining, and it is in relation to this gas technology. Is it possible for chaps in Sokoto and Kebi, knowing that they have kaolin in abundance, evolving paints and so on and so forth to paint these vehicles? Is it possible for a chap in Yobe who sees gum arabic readily available there to now come into the industry? So it's a very broad opportunity, I think, opened by Mr. President. What is left is for us institutional drivers to now break this, align it to the renewed hope, and be able to say, in the next 2 years, we can be able to measure. These are the number of Nigerians that is benefiting. This is how Nigeria is into the industry, and then we can stabilize the policy as a national development strategy.
All right, Dr. Bindre, thank you very much for your initial comments. Let's bring in Dr. Gillis Harry into this. Well, your
Gillis.
association, Gillis,
Gillis.
okay. Your association is into retail of petroleum products.
Yes.
Which is gradually or might be phased out gradually with this new policy. What's your initial reaction to this?
Well, first of all, Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria has embraced the gas revolution from the time it started with the past administration. Then it was called National Gas Expansion Program, NGEP. And then, of course, at the material time, we were not in any way bothered with the introduction of CNG because it's only going to boost and increase our business scope.
Okay.
Not everybody will convert their cars to gas. Some will traditionally just like their cars also to be fired by PMS if they can afford the money. So we were never in any way perturbed. Rather, we gave our ultimate support to the program. Mr. Sheyi, who was speaking to us from London, his company has facilities in Zimbabwe and a couple of other places, and we, commissioned him to work with us. And at that time, I think about 7,000 of retail outlet owners indicated interest to utilize their facilities. Some of them had enough space to serve as conversion centers. My station also gave that privilege that they can use mine, and in fact, I've even still donated a couple of my personal stations to the PCNG project in River State. So hopefully, we should be able to see how that works. But I want to say a couple of things that is very critical. Policies, as good as they are, I think what is required is clearly defining the content of the policy vis-a-vis how it impacts on the direct economy of Nigerians. Not just ordinary Nigerians alone, everybody, even the rich cry. So these days, you go to retail outlets and then somebody comes with a 6-cylinder car and you see him buying just only 20 liters of petrol. So it's not easy for anybody. So CNG will be the way to go. And why will the retail outlets be very happy about that? Because we already have facilities that could easily be accredited by the DG and the NMDPRA, to continue with the business. You know that one time it was kerosene. Today you don't see kerosene stands. Another time it was diesel. You also don't see so much of diesel being pumped, from our stations anymore. So also when PMS is phased out, we should be focused on gas, if ever PMS will run. But we are very, very confident that we'll give the best support to the project and we'll be able to work this out. The only thing we're asking the government is that when you make policies like this, we need to, tailor it to the source of funding. When this started, the CBN was supposed to bring out, I think, about 500 billion naira to fund it, and that was just like a fluke. We are told that a couple of companies, benefited from that and expanded their facilities. But that should not be the objective. The objective should be to be able to penetrate all the system. At least in a place like Bori, that is, very high traffic area, vehicles passing to Kwaibom and all of that, you should have about 2, pilot stations, CNG daughter stations that should work in there. They cost a lot of money. It will be very difficult for any retail outlet owner to say, I want to cough out $50,000 or $100,000 to go and just invest only in one daughter station, depending on where you're getting the technology from. So the government should, in addition to this very laudable policy of the renewed hope agenda, should also tailor it down to funding that retail outlet owners like us should be able to, to assess and be able to move in the wind of the season. And I can assure you that once retail outlet owners, major marketers, independent marketers, depot owners, all buy into the CNG policy, the speed at which we penetrate Nigeria will be very alarming and very, very, encouraging. So we need to really have a roundtable. I believe that the DG should, work on this. It's roundtables that should discuss with stakeholders, reputable, valuable, input-oriented stakeholders to make the CNG work. CNG was introduced in India in no distant time. And when CNG was introduced, it wasn't a very popular, fuel. But today, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of CNG stations that are being, set up. And the Indian government has a funding arrangement that makes that work. So I think we need to also study those models, because what this is not, we are not doing a rocket science. It's already existing. So it's plug and play. So let's look at the funding, like the DG has said, the safety, very critical, and also the DG Notab has just noted that skills to be able to increase entrepreneurial penetration and therefore reduce our poverty level and include almost everybody to be able to do some work. Because I know if, for instance, in Port Harcourt now we have, say, about 300 conversion centers, that will already engage at least nothing less than 100 people per center. That takes out that number of unemployed out of the streets. So crime will reduce. If whatever taxes that they'll pay, whether it's personal income tax or whatever, will improve for the state. And of course, the federal government also will be getting their own revenue through the company taxes that those companies will put. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. But it's critical that we drill down the issues. So we don't just, flag about a policy and think that the policy is going to work. You need people to make it work.
Yes.
And we, as retail outlet owners, support it. We want to give our all and our best to make this CNG initiative to work.
Yeah, I'm sure all these thoughts have been put into consideration, I believe, before the presidential directive on the CNG procurement. But it's supposed to revolutionize the transportation sector. Now, what this landmark initiative, if experts say it's achieved, there'll be a lot of change in the transportation sector in Nigeria. Now, let's look at the strategic, objectives to be achieved with this directive by the president.
The first one there is going to boost the economy of the country. There's going to be a lot of investment. It's going to be in billions of dollars that will come from private investors, not from government.
Just like he said.
Just as he said, yes. It's going to be a lot of them, as he said, a lot of them are going to invest in a station where the CNG will be dispensed. So a lot will go into vehicle that will carry the CNG short distance, because most often it's advised that you don't carry beyond 250 kilometers. Then a lot of investment will go into training and the technology. We have started, for example, we have developed curriculum for CNG conversion, and a lot everything that has to do with CNG, training, maintenance, conversion, everything. We have we developed National Occupational Standard. This standard was developed by almost 18 stakeholders, came together, also in oil and gas, in academics, all came together, and we developed this norms for CNG as well as for electric vehicle. But for now, for CNG, we developed the curriculum to manage for that one, for training, to train everyone, everybody that we involve in the either in conversion, in maintenance, in everything that has to do with that. So it's going to develop the economy. Secondly, it's going to create employment, because as doctor said the other time, this type of policy have the aim, the renewed hope agenda of the president has to do with job creation also. So this is going to create job, because a lot of conversion center will come up, a lot of other fabrication will be done. We've inspected some conversion center. You can see a lot of metal, steel fabrication taking place, and then there's going to be technology transfer, because you could see that most of these conversion center, most of them brought their partners, expatriates from abroad, to come and train Nigerians. We've seen them, some brought people down, they spent like 6 weeks, some 2 weeks, then 2 months to train Nigerians here. And by the time this is done, it's going to lead to technology transfer. And as he said, CNG is not only about vehicle. When we are talking about CNG, it's not only about vehicle. We are going to, for example, for a conversion center, we are going to have the head who is going to be certified, because we are going to certify the major staff, personnel that are going to carry out this. We are going to have mechanical, we certify people that will handle the mechanical part, the electrical part, the ICT part, because for us to manage CNG is far, far beyond managing vehicle. You ask me, which one is ICT? Apart from, before you take a kit, you want to convert, let's say, a particular brand of vehicle. That vehicle have different kind, the cylinder may be different from the cylinder of another vehicle. So first of all, you have to confirm that that cylinder is the appropriate cylinder for that vehicle. And how do you do that? We have a software that we are going to use, this resource we are going to use. And that resource, you have to first of all go there and pick the particular from the system. Make sure that you pick the particular, let's say, cylinder. You pick that cylinder, you look at the type, it must match the type described or prescribed for that vehicle. You make sure that, we also make sure that that cylinder has been tested for material and also be tested for it, and they pass the test. So, and since after it has been passed the test, SON is going to certify it. So based on that certification, you pick, and that number of certification from SON we show. So which means all these things are ICT process. You pick it, then you install. After installation, everything has been completed. You are still going to upload the detail of that vehicle into the system. So, and that detail is what the gas stations are going to use to know that proper thing has been done. Because if proper thing is not done, they are not going to fill it. They are not going to fill the vehicle. So all these things has to be in place. Even up to road safety on the road, they also have to check. They just need to scan and then be able to know that proper thing of those vehicles has been done. So that means we are training people, mechanical area, and we are training people in electronics, the electrical part. We are training people in ICT. Then you are going to train people in quality control. So it means it's all encompassing. Not only we are looking at vehicles. So it's going to create a lot of employment. It's going to lead to technology transfer. It's going to boost the economy. And by the time people now realize that CNG can be used for not only vehicle, for a lot of things, a lot of investment will actually go into CNG, and the economy is going to be better for it.
In other words, there will be no safety concerns.
Yes, that's why we have to make sure that from the time, from the time a cylinder or a kit is being produced, we make sure they adhere to standard. And then,
all right.
to guarantee safety.
All right, let's get back to the UK where Mr. Oluwasegun Olajuwon is waiting. I hope that the connection to him is much better now. I just wanted to find out, the federal government says it is targeting 1 million natural gas propelled vehicles by 2027. How achievable is this, and how significant will it be in terms of alleviating the burden of the high cost of transportation on the masses?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's achievable. It's very, very possible. And we've seen that happen in countries like Egypt, Algeria, and South Africa. And with the rollout that we're expecting in the next few days, that we can see high potential on these happening. So the cost is there, the savings is there, but yeah, the process of getting CNG to the retail structure is very, very critical. And like what Doctor said earlier, they have retail structures. So unfortunately, most of the gas conversion companies, gas producing companies, they are outskirts of busy areas, and for that reason, we need to look at how we can get petrol into locations like the likes of AA Rano, the likes of AYM Kappa, the likes of Rovers. That's when we can see the success.
We lost him again, but we can bring that same question back here in the studio. And let me ask Dr. Bende. 2027 is just
Around the
3 years ago, 3 years away, not too far away, and 1 million CNG propelled vehicles and all of that. How achievable? What needs to be done to make sure that we can get this over the line, and will it indeed alleviate the burden of high costs of transportation on the people?
Well, for possibility, it is possible. But I think as a country, there are many routes that will take you to that target. One route is just to jump onto trading. Just go and pack containers full of conversion kits, right? And then a lot of cylinders. You don't do any value addition. In fact, you can achieve that target before 2027. The vehicles are there. But I don't think that is what the president is targeting. The president has opened a window to say that Nigeria, first, I care, and I think removing the oil subsidy has stressed some of you. Let me bring another option so that it's cheaper, therefore you should relax a little bit. That's number one. Two, that gate, as I've opened, should be an opportunity for some of you to see the possibilities of engendering a career, a long-term strategy to be able to go to the next level, meaning get into the manufacturing sector. I remember I was the desk officer in NAPEP for Keke NAPEP under Obasanjo. The idea for introducing Keke NAPEP was in 10 years, can Nigeria make this Keke NAPEP? That was the idea. But today, I don't think we're doing that. We're not even panelizing the Keke NAPEP. The whole thing has become a trading thing. Just go out to India, to wherever, bring CKD or PKD, whatever. Now, so this policy has to go back and check all the previous policies. We've tried everything. He knows the history. Stair tractors in Bauchi, we wanted to transfer the technology to manufacture tractors. In Pojo, in Kaduna, we wanted to transfer the technology to actually manufacture vehicles. The Anamco, we wanted to transfer so many of these. But at the end of the day, gradually they all drifted into trading. That technology transfer did not happen. I think we shouldn't allow this policy to now go that way. So targeting and whether you are going to reach is possible. But if we go the typical Nigerian way of, fine, fantastic, President said 2027, let's go to India, sign agreement with the manufacturers of kits, get 1 million kits into Nigeria, bang. The others are, but they are also planning this policy. The Indians, the Koreans, everybody is fantastically geared to this. We will help Nigeria. They will use the word help But the help is to take advantage of you and be able to fill up your country with these products. You need the know-how, you need the spares, you need the kits and everything. But Nigeria has to change this thinking to its own advantage to make sure that while we initially trade, we also manufacture, create good jobs, not just jobs for people to come and start queuing up, painting, whatever. No, real technology, highway jobs, so that we can engender and prove to the president and anybody who cares that we too, our knowledge system is working, our thinking system is working, and Nigerian engineers, Nigerian specialists are also contributing to the development of the economy.
All right.
I hear the Zoom is better. Can you hear us? Is your audio better now?
You can just round off.
Yes, can you just round up your thoughts that you were making before the network went bad? Mr. Olajuwon, can you hear me?
No.
It has gone off again. Oh, just went there. Yeah. Let's return back here to the studio to Mr. Gillis. You know, you made a lot of pertinent. You touched on some pertinent issues while you were discussing strategy, funding, and all that. And now that the president has, directed the rejection of all memos brought by agencies and ministries seeking the purchase of petroleum vehicles, saying we need to have CNG compliant vehicles on the road. Some experts are saying, which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, the idea to reject memos requesting for petrol vehicles is very welcome. And why is it welcome? Because sometimes you have to really tighten up the system for people to wake up and realize that we're in danger. I do not recall any field of endeavor in the world that Nigerians are not top anywhere, from space to the deep sea.
Yes.
And so it really beats my own personal imagination. I don't know, maybe from the generation we grew up in the 60s, maybe we think and believe so much everything Nigerian. No, I believe in Nigeria. Very proud of my Nigerian passport. I flaunt it anywhere. And I think that Nigerians should wake up and take this challenge. One, it is not just only the issue of providing 1 million vehicles. 1 million vehicles is very easy to produce, like the DG Notaba said. We become a trading port, and then everybody starts importing from Argentina, from India, from Korea, from China, and all of that. But we need to get to the point where we must ask ourselves, why will anybody bring trucks to offload minerals in our forests and just ship them? Why would anybody create a landing strip in the middle of our forests and just cut away our minerals? So something is definitely wrong with the way we Nigerians evaluate ourselves. It shouldn't be all about food. It shouldn't be all about our comfort and the clothes we wear and the houses we live, because all the fine cars you see here today, tomorrow will be ending up somewhere in a scrap. And so it doesn't make anything. And even with all the noise we make, we will just only be a photograph on a wall in another 100 years or 90 years. So what we should do is actually to keep a good memory of the activities we are putting. And I very much like the postulations and the projections of the former DG and Nota, because whatever we are doing, we must start to produce in Nigeria. If we do not use this opportunity of this struggle, of these tight seasons, to wake up, because when things are difficult, I think that's when sometimes our brains wake up, even in school. When you eat so much food, you cannot read well and pass exams. When you are not having all the food, you'll be able to work. So today, this policy should start that drive and that hunger in Nigerians to manufacture. We have young children that are coming out with challenges. We have somebody that I saw from Sokoto that designed an electric vehicle. I'm sure that the DG is aware of that.
Even in Borno?
Yes, and
It
so
started from
there are
Borno.
so many ideas that are coming up that need to be encouraged immediately. And those ideas are the things that will start us in our revolution, because we need it, not just to fill the place with one. Even if you want 20 million vehicles, we can easily trade on that and get there. But when they start to break down, what do?
That's why I asked you, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you have the facilities to churn out this number of vehicles?
You see, it has
a
to be,
working system?
It has to be half and half.
Okay.
It has to be half and half. The petrol vehicles, and I said this earlier, the petrol vehicles cannot be wished away. And also the CNG gas must be embraced. So the government's policy should now be geared towards deliberately driving the process of encouraging this. And that's how the renewed hope agenda should be able to have its value. That when you wake up in Ondo State, there is a new factory set up by Nigerians with foreign companies. That's a company, a friend of mine, that is doing such a very wonderful thing somewhere in Suleja there. When you enter into that place, on the outside it looks like it's just one rickety place, but when you get in there, you'll just be surprised as to how many expatriates are there, and they are training everybody, one Nigerian to the other. And I wish that that gentleman should, at some point, be able to talk publicly about what he's doing. They are manufacturing every single thing from screw to a whole car. So if you drive your dilapidated car there, they can just refurbish it and bring it new. Make it new with all the parts. So we have those kind of innovators and innovations in Nigeria. So the government should find out how to encourage that while we are still moving on to that. So if the president has rejected memos for PMS fired cars, he has done Nigeria very good. And I think that's a patriotic thing to do. But once he has done that, he should also get the financial system, the Minister of Finance, the central bank, to sit back and then really work. Because most of the policies we are bringing out today, in my opinion, they are not bringing the immediate result that will take us into the mid-term, into the medium term, and then the long term. We should, at all times, be looking at how we can realistically grow our economy. When we were buying dollar for 80 kobo, when I went to school, I paid my school fees from Nigerian post office, 75 kobo, 75 or something kobo per dollar. We don't even go to bank. You walk into the post office and buy money order and use it to pay your school fees. So why could we do that in the 70s? It's because we had income coming in from our local activities, our manufacturing. We are driving made in Nigeria cars. We are driving, drinking Milo and everything that's being done from Nigeria. We are a lot of things that were happening at that time were made in Nigeria, and we are proud of that. We exported. We even produced PMS at the material time in the 70s that we exported. Today we are the greatest net importers of PMS. So something that has been drastically wrong, I believe that the president should have the political courage and the political will to change the way we think, so that CNG is not just only to fire vehicles. It's not just only to fire power generators. It is actually a way to recall our money, because all this gas we are flaring is a natural gas and it's wasted since 1960. Look at how much money. So this initiative should drive towards that. Let's capture that gas. Let's turn it into different things, because it can be turned to fertilizer. Our farming can be improved by some natural things. We can study, we can do research, and do as much as possible to give Nigeria the economic renaissance, the rebound that we need. So this CNG initiative is not just only for Mr. Joe to to provide vehicles for us. And I'm very happy to be educated by some of the things that the DG has said here, which is why I propose that we should partner very efficiently. So we can hear the TLH talking about use our gas stations. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It will just penetrate into the system like it's just a dream.
But you have the facilities as it is today.
We already have facilities. So assist us with how to access money and be able to set up the daughter stations. You cannot put a mother station in any retail outlet. So, for instance, in Port Harcourt now and Akwa Ibom, you have Starlink doing a lot of compressed gassing. They're running most of their equipment, thousands of equipment with CNG. You have the Greenville that's just on the road there that can serve, in fact, the whole of the South and the Southeast can be serviced from those areas because they are producing that, natural gas they can compress. And so it's easy to move them with bobby tails, specialized CNG vehicles to various stations. From there, you can, so long as, I know the standard they've created will not allow CNG to be transported for a long distance, but, gradually we'll fill up to that, but let's start. So the way to start, in my opinion, is get the retail outlet owners, get the major marketers, get the independent marketers, get the depot marketers. Let us sit down and discuss and exactly know what we can do. So when you talk about stakeholders, these stakeholders should be actual practitioners in the fields. Actual practitioners. So when you want to train, you go around the whole country from Lagos to Port Harcourt to wherever. Pick the mechanics, all of those people, and train them. Not so much about university degrees and all of that, but people who can practically be able to use their hands and skills to do something.
We're already doing something with their hands.
So that's what I think. So back to your question, it should be half and half. Because if you right away say petrol should go, how many hours do you have to get a vehicle coming? These vehicles that are using CNG gas today, they didn't start in one day. I remember, one day when I was driving through Benin and NIPCO was having this gas facility. I was like, oh, okay, because in the 70s, we used to drive this Mazda version of car that has gas and petrol. So you just switch. So it's actually not a new technology because we've used those technologies for a long time. And then they're there. But now gradually I believe that NIPCO has really gained a very long mileage in that, and we should be able to encourage that. We should encourage other, like Sheyi said, Rano should be, these are big players that have large retail outlets and good stations. Some of our stations that are not as large as theirs should all be encouraged to be part of it. And then we can quickly do a very high level penetration into the business. And as for that question, let us do it half and half.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Gillis Harry. Well, let's try again if signals to Mr. Oluwasegun is good now.
I think it's good.
I had asked earlier how we can help Mr. President achieve his target of 1 million natural gas propelled vehicles by 2027. What needs to be on ground? What should we encourage government to do? And how does the private sector come in to actualize this in the next couple of years?
Thank you very much. Just to touch on what Doctor said earlier. Yeah, compressed natural gas, we can't take beyond 250 liters. But we also have the likes of LNG, liquefied natural gas, whereby we can regasify. So up north, for the likes of Sokoto, Adamawa, we can also get compressed natural gas to those locations. And we have LNG in Nigeria from the likes of Greenville and the Jakuta project that is going on. So all of these things are very much detailed and well positioned. The support for the government is very paramount at this stage. Like what the doctor said, there is a lot of injection of funds that is needed. The cheapest CNG station is about 120,000 USD, and we're talking about a good one that can serve about maybe 100 or 150 cars daily. So all of these initial investments, the government pays to ensure swift and quick support system is achieved. And it's key. So we believe the power to introduce gas is a very good one, but it's the groundwork that is very critical. The groundwork is the most difficult part of it. The knowledge transfer is very key. The roadside mechanics, like you said, they need to have that knowledge and a very detailed step-by-step. So conversion of car to run on gas is like a major operation a doctor is carrying out in an hospital. It's not like a minor operation, it's a major. Making a petrol car to run on gas. You just imagine putting your diesel in a petrol engine, you know what's going to happen. So there's an advanced technology that is going to help to make this run smoothly. And we have substandard kits as well. We also solicit with the likes of SON, NADDC to ensure substandard kit doesn't come into the market, because there will be incident, there will be accident. But we need to make sure we'll be able to minimize such to just basic day-to-day normal incident and accident. But once you do bad installation, but you can have a good kit with a bad installer, or you can have a bad kit with a good installer. So we need to make sure those two things merge together, good installation, good kits, and that will support a very smooth transition. And the switch to gas is going to help not just this administration, but encourage youth empowerment, knowledge transfer, the capacity to know how, and even knowledge exports. The likes of Poland. Poland had so many people converting that we need them. We had to import them into Europe. So the universities need to encourage the utilization and the knowledge transfer of conversion. We have people that will do the wiring. We have people that will do the calibration. We have people that are very good in installation. So all of this process is very key. Detailed ensuring that people have this knowledge and maintain the knowledge, is very important. And like what the DD said, he said knowledge transfer, individuals will be trained, certification of individuals, certification of conversion center, and some conversion center have got the certification, but the trained personnel must have left. So we need to have a checkmating structure whereby we monitor this process of engagement. This person has got the certification, but they haven't got the personnel that has been trained. We need to make sure that we have this process of checking, because on YouTube, you can go and check it. To convert a car to run on gas is there. So we can expose ourselves to big danger, and we can also expose ourselves to standard installation of this conversion kit. We believe it's a very welcome development. We believe the government agencies now will also consider either to switch to gas or to switch to diesel aftermarket installation, whereby the engines can run on both petrol and gas, or in the case of diesel, the engine can run at the same time simultaneously. So we give credit and kudos to the federal government, and we are hoping, like what Doctor said, there is a lot that the support system that is required for the retail outlet. We don't need to start building stations everywhere. We have stations everywhere already. We just need to collocate this facility into this facility, and we will see maximum and quite quick, swift expansion of gas utilization in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Olajuwon, thank you very much for your comments. But let me just quickly stay with you briefly. In this regard, there are already 4 privately owned plants in various states of the Federation. That's the feeler that we have. They are in partnership with the federal government, on the assemblage of semi-knocked down components of the CNG buses. So how significant is this in line with what you are proposing, and what does it mean for local businesses?
Yeah, local businesses have got a very good role to play, and experience is very critical here. So now the president announced last year, and then all of a sudden the company this year is saying they know how to do gas. It's a no-no. The experience required for gas part, it's a thing of years of building, of knowledge acquiring. So we believe the local capacity is there. But again, for as much as we can say the local capacity is very essential, we need to also know that the local capacity is not just bringing in those things and claiming they are locally assembled or they are locally maintained. We have to have that knowledge capacity of those local structure. In the case of gas now, yes, we have quite a lot of gas facilities, but don't forget, these are natural gas part of it. There are still other processes that will require. There's a need for you to compress this natural gas either from a model station and transport it virtually to a total station whereby it can be dispensed into vehicles. Or in the case of LNG regasification, whereby the likes of Greenville will transport LNG by natural gas even need electric vehicle there because electric vehicle is an alternative solution of transportation. It's not major. Even as much as electric vehicle is successful in England, in London, there's about 1 or 2 electric buses in 10 diesel-powered or managed Euro 5 buses. So we believe the support system is very key. There's a need for compression of gas from the outskirts of the country, of the state, where natural gas is being tapped from the natural pipeline. Then we will do compression, bring it. We need to find a way to get those gas and those compressed gas into the retail structure. The idea and the main goal is in every 5 filling station, 2 CNG station is available. Because, for instance, now, Chisco Motors, we converted them 5 years ago. In Ore, they had to travel out of the road to refuel. It's not convenient for the bus, neither is it convenient for the passengers. 10 minutes out of the traveling time of any passenger is very inconvenient. So we need to make sure that we have stations along the route of transportation within the inner city and outer city structure. So we need to look at all of these buses. Are they inner city buses or outer interstate buses? Because for as much as we want to reduce the cost, if the major transportation route has not been attached or abstracted by this initiative, the purpose has been defeated. So all of these things have to be closely looked into. We need to look at the keke, for instance. These keke are CNG powered. So in the case of when there is no CNG, how do we do recovery for this keke? Are they going to, and don't forget, a keke has got maybe 10 or 15 liters tank capacity. So how far would this keke need to drive or ride to get CNG? And how far would they need to ride back to their route? So all of this refining structure has to be along. And these keke owners, don't forget, they buy from the jerrycan owners along the road. So how do we meet up all of these demand to ensure that the maximum potential it has? So that's a lot of work, groundwork that we believe should be done. And we are hoping the government will really go in that line. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed, there's a lot of groundwork to be done. We will return to our guest here in the studio right after this break. Yeah, welcome back to Good Morning Nigeria. We've been discussing on the presidential directive on CNG procurement, and the president also said that the nation cannot progress if it keeps dancing in the same sport, and he also talked about the will to drive the implementation of the CNG adoption. The will is what we're going to talk about now, because when it comes to implementation in Nigeria, we've discussed CNG vehicles on this program more than 5 times or so. It is the willpower to implement this. And from all indication, we have a new sheriff in town who says we must use Nigerian-made products. So how is the implementation going to be? Are we still going to be talking about this in the next 1 year? Because 4 years is just around the corner.
Yeah, thank you. You just mentioned that the president, if there is anyone that has the will, the president is the one. He has the will. And from his action, since he made that pronouncement, is glaring to everyone that he has the will. And again, those of us also that have one role or the other to play, we also have the will. And just to talk on what the doctor said the other time, the president, when he made that statement, he knew the other multiplier effects that CNG adoption is going to have. And the other multiplier effect, especially in time of producing what you consume and consume what you produce. So we key into that. And that's why in the last few months, you could see our activities, especially NADDC, get toward identifying what make a vehicle. Because what make a vehicle is, you have different parts that make a vehicle. So we started identifying what among these parts can we convenient or we have comparative advantage in producing, or what can we produce. So, and we have identified this, and then we brought everybody, stakeholders. We have stakeholder engagement. In fact, more than numerous stakeholder engagement, and we are identifying what do we need to do to start producing some of these parts locally, because the intention is not for us to just keep on fixing. And we've met all the assembly orders, those people that have the license to assemble vehicle, and we have told them You cannot continue to be assembler till perpetuity. You need to know your program, the step you need to take to move from being an SKD to CKD. And the difference between
what
SKD,
does that mean?
SKD is semi-knockdown. Semi-knockdown means you just bring all the parts to Nigeria and assemble to make a vehicle. So CKD is complete knockdown. So the complete knockdown means, in fact, would they just bring some fraction? Why? Well, the difference between SKD and CKD are the component you produce locally. The difference is just the parts. So we are now saying we need to move. We need to move from SKD to CKD, and for us to move, it means we must start producing something locally. Then we identify area, those people that are producing, in what way, what can we do to make, not only will you produce, you are going to produce quality that will make global standard, and not only that, you have to be, your price must be competitive for us to not only produce for local use, for also for export. And to do that, there are some initiatives we have taken. We've tried to start some industrial park. So the industrial park we are putting in place, and we have started putting them. One will be in Kaduna. We have started the one in Newi. Another one will be in Oshogbo. So what we are doing there is to identify what you produce in those localities, bring everybody under the same facility. So that facility will be able to provide shared facility for producer of this item. And we have identified them. Lately, the minister was in engagement where we are now drafting. We are about to complete that one. MOU between these component manufacturers and the vehicle assemblers. Because the component manufacturers are those that will produce this thing. For example, foam, tricycle, they use foam. Vehicle use foam. Then leather that you will use to cover the foam. Or vehicle use it and tricycle use it. So all this, I just mentioned those ones that are so basic that anybody can at least relate with. Yeah. So then you have, you mentioned something about the press, the steel. So these are the things that can be done and now being done in Nigeria. Even we have oil filter. So you have oil filter which is being done by some company in Uyo and I think Lagos. So yes, but we have the bigger one in Uyo and Lagos. Oil filter. And if you know the number of oil filter Nigerian youth per day, in fact you will think it's something else. And these are the things we are now saying. So if you produce this, we are going to sign the MOU with assembler. You are bound to buy the one made in Nigeria. And a lot of them have made that promise. They have to start using them, not only for the new vehicle, but also for after sales. If you look at the number of vehicles on Nigerian road, if we can only service most of this one, the vehicle on Nigerian road, then we'll be able to do a lot. And back to CNG. There are a lot of things that, just as Dr. mentioned again, that we can do apart from the vehicle itself. What makes the vehicle are different components. So we are now saying, come, let's do this thing together. We have the will, and if you are not ready, that's why the president said, locally assemble. The directive is not only just go and bring CNG to Nigeria. No, those CNG has to be locally assembled. So it's not only anybody just go and import those CNG and bring to Nigeria. It has to be locally assembled.
Thank you, Mr. Oshanekpe. Let me quickly get to Dr. Bindre as we get to the last lap of this program. All of these, laudable as they are, will only be possible if we have power. And so how do we develop critical infrastructure like power to make this policy work and others like it?
I think one of the merits of the renewed hope and this president is learning from the past. Most of these policies are not new, but we have seen the implementation of policies going haywire. Can we be able to focus and make sure that things like this perform very well? Look, the CNG technology, right, can affect water supply because this is a prime mover powering issue. You know, it can affect health. It can affect agriculture very, very well in terms of value addition and production, and so on and so forth. So the president, just like you said, in power, in my opinion, should ensure that there is a very, very close tracking, monitoring, and evaluation. Data is necessary. Who are the people who are bringing this? Can custom track anybody who is bringing these kits into this country? Who is actually assembling it? Like the DG said, many people are trained. Where are they? State by state, so that the president can see that we are skewed to this or we can skew. Because without this, he cannot facilitate partnership with the state governors. State governors have a bigger chunk to implement in this policy. But when you build up information on the realities on the ground, right? Share the information, make it public, it attracts the governors. Also the public. When the president gave the procurement directive, this is only federal government vehicles, right? What is the percentage of federal government vehicles on the roads now compared to state government, compared to private people like us? So the policy has to be gingered technically to make sure that the Nigerian is attracted to it. Oh, he means well, he is doing well, and so people like DG and his colleagues in other areas should be able to be producing information, data well analyzed, and giving it to the public. And finally, I think to do with the technology and so on and so forth, the technology sector, we are very good because the president said gas. The oil and gas sector will think that is their own. Because they said vehicles, the vehicle people will think it's their own. But these barriers of islands has to break to make sure that everybody aligns to policies of this nature to make sure that Nigeria benefits from it. These islands are very dangerous. So like you said, power also has a benefit on this. If the CNG is powering generators, these are standalone things. So in the energy mix, to provide power for industry, for domestic, so anybody who thinks that this policy is their own and they're looking for money to implement it, I think is the wrong way to think about it. So, and the president must be able to say that weekly or monthly or bi-monthly, I need a briefing on this, my policy. Hey, water, you're not participating. What is wrong with you? Hey, the aviation, you're not participating. What is wrong? Hey, Ministry of Transport, you know, so that he must make sure that it's not going to be easy, but constantly he monitors it himself to make sure that the implementation is solid.
Yes, indeed. It's all about mindset and acceptability, because we saw how long it took Sun Motors to break into the Nigerian market. What is the psychology of the Nigerian, and how acceptable is this directive to Nigerians?
Well, generally, all new things are easily resisted. First option is, I want to stick with what I know. This is where governments push initiatives that are being done by the president, such as this, is going to create quite a lot of opportunity. A couple of days ago, I was called from Port Harcourt to attend the presidential initiative on CNG. Luckily, my local team in Port Harcourt and Uyo were on hand and they attended. Thereafter, the next day, a conversion center was set up in Port Harcourt, just somewhere in Rumola there. So such, proactive actions could be able to help in introducing acceptance into the minds of people. Because if the federal government starts using CNG to fire their vehicles, and then the state governments also do the same, and then the local governments are doing the same, for private sector, it's clear for us that this is a cheap way to go. So you see quite a lot of heavy-duty vehicles now converted already to CNG. And they're doing it daily. Some companies today make it a policy just to use only CNG fired heavy trucks, tankers, and different issues. So as far as acceptance is concerned, it will move in. And then costs. If a taxi driver is going to go into a conversion shop and it's going to cost him 400,000 naira to convert his vehicle, even when he calculates the future, advantage of cost, it will still be difficult for him because he may not have 400,000 to convert his car immediately to start the benefit. And even when he converts, which is why it's good to keep dual fired vehicles or even dual fired powered, my generator today in my home is fired by both a fossil
CNG.
fuel and also gas. So I change, because it's cheaper for me. I've calculated how much it will cost me to fire my generator for 17 hours. That would be about 16,000 naira. And then, but if I'm using PMS to fire the same, it will cost me about 30-something thousand.
You say you're not on band A.
Well, we are very careful to just manage ourselves. Because in the reality, even the band A, we need to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it in public television. But at the end of the day, you must find a way to do your business.
Indeed.
And in our business, power is so very critical.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So it's very important. And I think that's the way to attract Nigerians to it is availability, make it ubiquitous, and that's why Petron stations, independent marketer stations, major marketer stations, DAPMA stations should all be part of the mixer. Because at the end of the day, you don't need to, recreate the wheel. It's already there. Plug and play in the beginning. The truth is, even if we study gas for the next 50 years, we are not going to produce our own daughter stations. We're not going to produce our own mother stations. Those are already technologies that will have been settled, and we need to get them to use. So then also, let the government also subsidize. So when we are talking about subsidies, there are certain areas that subsidy must be applied. I completely agree with the president that the subsidy on PMS should be removed. The story is up and down, but as far as I know, there is no subsidy because the president says so and NNPC says so. But there are things to subsidize. The kits should be subsidized. The funds to build up the daughter stations, mostly, should also be made available to us at prices that is affordable. So that's the way to attract users.
Thank you, Dr. Gillis Harry. Let's quickly get to Oluwasegun in the UK. Just for a minute, I understand. Now, you are already familiar with this technology, and what would you say are the potential drawbacks that are likely to be there by the time it kicks into gear, and what would be your advice to ensure that it doesn't ground it to a halt, at least?
Thank you very much. Yeah, the potential drawbacks are when we try to bring a new set of people into the structure. The automotive part of it, we should focus on the day-to-day individuals that have engagement with vehicles. The roadside mechanics. We've trained people in the past 6-7 years in Nigeria. We've noticed that the roadside mechanics are more experienced. We just need to make sure that we let them understand the process of conversion. So we need to utilize the existing structures. For instance, Pan in Kaduna, they have facility there. We don't need to build a new one. And Namco in Enugu, there's a facility there. We don't need to build a new one. In terms of conversion, there are quite a lot of mechanics here and there that are well-trained, knowledge. Every day they have it. You get someone from, let's say, for instance, in an office, and they say, I want to learn how to do conversion. That's a very good thing. But at the initial stage, we need to utilize the knowledge that are available. That all we need to do is just to top up on the knowledge of conversion. Now, in the case of retail structures, the facilities that we have on ground, we should build on them. The petrol stations that we have on ground, we should encourage. We can let everyone come in, and we should do a detailed auditing of locations strategically, whereby vehicle refueling can be easy and simple for people, for motorists. Those are the things we need to do. But when we start having stations outskirts, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be almost impossible. And then you're asking someone to pay 400,000 naira to convert. It's not going to do that because that's a huge amount of money. So we are also sitting with the government what incentives will be in place and the selection of these beneficiaries. If you're using, sorry, you don't need conversions. Those that are using their car 5 times, 6 times a week, they should be supported to do their conversion. They are the major users of cars. They are the major purchasers of vehicles. Let's not just look at, oh, I want to benefit from the incentive from the government, and you hardly use your car. So there must be a strict selection process for those that will benefit from the conversion, and also strict selection process for those that will...
Olajuwon, indeed, it's all about ease and accessibility by Nigerians who want to go into the CNG, used cars in Nigeria. Let's bring in the DG now in 30 seconds. This is a slow, steady and gradual process, and towards a skilled and educated, Nigerian citizens to grow. And can you give us a projection in the next 3 years, let's say, where do you see the CNG, directive of the president going from there?
Yeah, I see the us growing and build on what the president has started in the next 3 years. We mentioned about 1 million vehicle converted. We should be converted by then, and I know that we are going to even surpass that number. But the most critical thing there is that we want to contribute more percentage to the local content in CNG.
All right, thank you very much, Oluwemimo Joseph Oshanikmi, DG National Automotive Design and Development Council. We thank you very much for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Let's also thank Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry, National President, Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. And Dr. Omar Bindri, former Secretary to Adamawa State Government and former DG NOTAP. Always a pleasure to have your time and thoughts here on the program.
Thank you so much.
And finally, via Zoom, we were joined by Oluwasegun Olajuwon, MD, CEO of the THLD Group. Thank you very much for bringing your perspectives on Good Morning Nigeria today. Jumai?
Yeah, I think he's gone. And we have a breaking news, as it has been confirmed, that President Raisi of Iran and the country's foreign minister, Hussein Amir Abdullahian, died in the helicopter crash that occurred on Sunday. Aged 63, Iranian president was traveling by helicopter in the country's East Azerbaijan province when it came down in a forested area. Ibrahim Raisi was elected Iran's president in 2021, having led the country's judiciary and other top offices. He was a figure representing conservative and hardline fractions in Iranian politics and president for nearly 3 years. Raisi appeared on track to run for re-election next year. A former Chief Justice, Raisi was touted as a potential successor to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the 85-year-old supreme leader of Iran. Vice President Mokhbar held an extraordinary cabinet meeting early Monday morning where he said government will go on in the country without disruption. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thank you so much for being part of it. I am Jumai yourself.
Right, and I'm Victor Azo. We thank you for joining us. Have a great week and a great day indeed.